Welcome to the Conscious Kink Podcast with Miss LX. Let's jump into today's episode.
So, Little Lemon, how are you doing tonight, my friend? How can I help you?
Hello? Can everyone hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, good. Very nervous.
It's okay.
I guess basically, I am trying to better understand myself. I'm still relatively new to kink and the lifestyle, so I'm still trying to figure things out about myself and who I am and what I want from a dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
And I just noticed that the biggest thing I struggle with, and I'm not sure if this is my social anxiety, it's it is and I believe I asked this question before, it is release, but it's something deeper than that. It's mindfulness, I think, when having intimate moments with other people, even if it's not in a dynamic, I tend to feel very anxious and nervous and just worried that I'll do the wrong thing or I'll say the wrong thing. So instead of being present and in the moment, I tend to just not say anything because then I feel like if I don't say anything, I can't mess it up.
Mm-hmm.
But I also can't build relationships and build connections if I don't actually talk about things, if I don't actually engage fully.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess those are the things I've been trying to deal with, especially when it comes to sexuality, because I've been very repressed when it comes to sexuality. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm in my late 20s and I'm just now trying to discover like who I am sexually and what I like because I was very repressed about it for most of my life.
Mm-hmm. So, if you could sum all of that up into maybe a question for me, what do you think that we're after tonight in terms of a goal?
Um, I think I would just ask, how can I practice um, that mindfulness and that release? Because I don't want to wait until I get into a dynamic and then try to figure it out from the ground up. I want to have some foundation. So, how can I work on mindfulness and being present with other people? I can do it when I'm by myself fairly well, but with other people, that's really the challenge, especially at munches and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I would say that, and we talked about this really, I think a lot in what the last Q&A or the one before about how change happens. And change occurs through consistency plus emotion. And that was an ongoing theme that night. And so for this conversation today, I'm going to start it out in the same way that change happens through consistency plus emotion. And so for you, you're going to need to build consistently positive emotional experiences with other people that will propel you into more social confidence. And
Okay.
and in order to do that, I would say work at it one-on-one. Like just go slow and take some of this pressure off of yourself. Because I know that you feel, it seems to me that you feel a little bit frantic, maybe, about I have to catch up and I'm falling behind. And if I don't get this, if I don't learn this, if I can't do this, then I'm going to fall more and more behind it. It sounds like it's a little bit of a frantic fear attached to it. Am I wrong about that?
No, that's absolutely right. I've often had those exact thoughts that I'm behind for my age, so I have to try to catch up to other people, or not to other people, but to to where I wanted to be at this age.
Right, right. And I think that thought right there is killing you. Because here's the thing. As Graham has told us all, I am a goddess and therefore I am immortal, unaging, so I don't share my birthday. But I will tell you, little lemon, you being in your mid to late 20s, you're a baby thing still, okay? Baby thing. I work with singles and couples decades upon decades upon decades older than you that are just starting to scratch the surface of the questions that you're asking. So I know that our culture right now is very accelerated. And we have 11-year-old baby girls strutting their stuff like they're 21. And it's sick. And it's ridiculous. So I think that you are ahead of the curve a little bit, little lemon, quite honestly.
Okay, that's actually really relieving to hear.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard a lot. I've heard pretty much the exact opposite from the men in my family. Just in terms of like, I, they were, I'm trying not to be specific about their stories, but
Mm-hmm.
basically, my father and my grandfather, they were introduced to sex at a very early age. So
Mm-hmm.
their mindset was that's what you have to do. The goal, that is the goal. The goal, sex is not a means to intimacy. I'm trying to think of the way they phrased it.
Mm-hmm.
Intimacy is a means to sex rather than sex being a means to intimacy. For them, the goal is sex and that's it, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to like the goal being intimacy and sex being something that happens along that way.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, that's a
and I was
trauma response, my
sorry,
friend.
I'm sorry.
That's a trauma response. I mean, if the men in your family that you said had been exposed to sex at a very young age, the likelihood of that being a traumatic abusive experience is probably really, really high because you get, quote, introduced to sex earlier than you should, then that's non-consensual and probably violating and abusive. So if that's the case, that trauma established their worldview about sex. And they're now projecting that traumatized worldview of sex onto you. And you don't have to accept it. You can call a duck a duck. And they may still not even realize that that was a bad thing consciously. Absolutely. I've talked to my fair share of male survivors. And there's a lot, especially when it comes to sexual violation, there's a lot of shame on men. And they don't want to process that shame. They don't want to process that pain. They don't want to see themselves as victimized, as less than, as weak, as abused. And so they won't allow it to come to the surface. They won't allow their subconscious trauma to come to a conscious level, look at it and heal from it. So what do? We change our worldview. We create cognitive dissonance out of our trauma. That's what it sounds like is happening. And you have every right to reject that narrative and go, nope, that's wrong. And that isn't actually what sex is. And I won't accept that.
That's actually what I have done. It's kind of weird. This is one of the reasons I don't go around my family that often anymore, but I was always in the minority when it came to that.
Yeah.
And everyone was so confused, both the men and the women, as to why I just didn't have the stereotypical idea that they thought men are supposed to have about sex.
Mm-hmm.
Why I just didn't want to do the things that they wanted me to do.
Mm-hmm.
And they really enforced the idea that if I'm not willing to do those things, then I won't be able to attract women.
Right.
And as much as I like logically know that's not true, when I feel like everyone around me is saying the exact opposite, I just began to wonder if it really is me and if I'm really just not seeing something.
Right. Yeah. No, I understand that. And You're seeing it clearly, and it can be really, really just a lot of problems, a lot of struggle to not minimize yourself or gaslight yourself when you are in a situation like that, when you're surrounded with people. And that's why I'm going back to the consistency plus emotion. Is the more time you spend in a healthy community, the less impact the voice of your family will have. The more consistently positive emotional experiences you have with people one-on-one, the more it will fuel your confidence dealing with people. But you have to do it afraid. And I know that that's something that we don't really like to hear, but honestly, that's really it a lot of times. Is, you know, you feel really anxious or nervous about saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing or getting in your head when you're dealing with people. And the thing is, at first that's going to happen. But the more you do it afraid, aka the more you still show up and have conversations with people when you feel anxious, the more you still show up and have conversations with people when you feel nervous, the more you still show up and have conversations with people when you're in your head, the easier it will be. But right now, you're using those cues of anxiety and nervousness and being in my head as reasons that are valid for me to avoid. And that avoidance is actually making the anxiety worse. So you avoid more, then you get more anxious. So you avoid more, you get more anxious, you avoid more. And so to stop this cycle, we have to just do it afraid. And I'm not saying go to a munch filled with people that you've never met before and rock it. It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we need to build a track record of consistency plus emotion. We need to build consistent patterns of positive emotions. Well, I'm not going to recommend you jump into big groups of people in order to build consistent patterns of positive emotions. There's way too many variables.
Mm-hmm.
But what you can do is the people that are in your life right now, whether they're in this community or not, the people that you have connected with, the people that you do feel, oh, I can kind of let my hair down a little bit. I can kind of be myself here. Yeah, I don't feel judged here. Anytime you feel like that with someone, they're a good person to practice with. And so I would say find those people, even maybe as your homework, get really practical and make a little list. Even if you have 2 people on that list of people that you feel safe enough with to do it afraid, then you have 2 people. Great.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
If you have more than that, great. But I would say write down a little list of people that you feel safe enough, because I know that social anxiety is really a struggle. You may never feel fully safe. So that's why I'm saying safe enough to
Mm-hmm.
show up and still have conversation when you're nervous, or when you're in your head, or when you're anxious, or when you're spiraling and what are they going to think and all this. If you can still push through that with someone that you feel safe enough, that is how we're going to shift this, little lemon.
Okay. I already have 2 people in mind. Well, one person and this community in mind.
Okay, beautiful. And so I would just say, like, we do this work, we do this practice. I'm sure you've heard it countless times when you tune into the lives and things like that. But we get aware of what's going in our body first. So
Mm-hmm.
So I would just encourage you to get present and figure out when you start feeling in your head disassociated, nervous, anxious, overwhelmed, when you get hit with these things, pay attention to where it shows up for you in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And then let that be an indication that you need to go and be with someone safe. So that's not the time that we need to talk to a stranger online. That's not the time that we need to try to push ourselves to go out and go to Starbucks. That's not the time that we try to reserve a spot at a munch. That's the time where we go, okay, I'm clearly feeling triggered, and this trigger is making me want to avoid and pull away. Okay, so I'm going to do the opposite, and I'm going to reach out to someone that I feel safe with and that I can trust to a certain degree. And I may not tell them that I'm feeling triggered and anxious. I might just say hi and ask them about their day.
Mhm.
And little engagements like that over and over through time are going to build new associations for you. So that when you do find a partner that you would like to submit to, that process of being fully open and vulnerable and seen and exposed to a dominant isn't going to freak you the fuck out.
Yeah.
Right? Because that, I could imagine that's a little bit of a concern point for you.
Yeah, that was what happened in my last dynamic. I was so not used to having positive interactions
Mm-hmm.
that it was very much like I don't know what to do. I've never gotten this far, so I don't know what to do.
Right.
Um, and that really contributed to just me realizing that I was not ready at that time. I
Mm-hmm.
thought I was when it started, but I had to realize that I wasn't
That's
because
so much wisdom.
ev- yeah, every compliment, sweet thing, nice things that
Mm-hmm.
my dom would do for me would just be so like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Um,
You didn't
but
feel
I realized that
worthy.
I just needed more time to work on myself, and that's
Mm-hmm.
also why I really like this community because I feel like I can grow while being single, but at the same time, I'm not alone.
No, no, not at all alone. And I think that it's beautiful. And I'm so thankful that you're here because that's exactly what we can all do for you is we can help you as friends here in this community. We can help you build those communication skills, build those self-soothing skills, build those awareness and conscious skills. We can help walk you through, okay, you're triggered, that's okay. You know, you get to learn how to accept a compliment, how to accept praise and validation and all of that. So, I think that you're definitely on the right track. I would say just to encourage you, I think you're doing way better than you think you are. You are so much farther ahead than you think you are. You do not have this like chronic, I'm failing, I need to catch up, I'm way behind thing. Like, that is not accurate. And you can feel whatever you want to feel. I'm not trying to invalidate you, but
Hmm.
I'm just saying I see it from a completely different perspective. And I think you have a really great head on your shoulders. And I think that you're very mature for your age, able to pan out very, very well for your age. And I think you just get in your head. I think you just overthink things. And that's what anxiety is, right? We just overthink
Yeah.
and to death. But that's a skill that we can heal. That is a skill that we can learn, and then it's anxiety that we can heal when we are in relationship with other people. And so I would just say try just to focus on one interaction at a time and focus on one person or relationship at a time. Not that you can't have multiple friends or anything like that, but I would just say don't look at it as I need to have all of these different experiences and grow in all these ways. Just if you feel safe with one person, foster that connection. And then if you start feeling safe with another person, foster that connection. It's a little bit simpler than what was going on in your head, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. I really like how you simplified it, especially when I get into my head. I kind of have a black and white thing where it's
Mm-hmm.
like I know I'm triggered or I know I'm anxious, so I'll push myself too far and be like, I have to go to a big munch with a lot of people and just like throw myself into it. And then that doesn't necessarily work because I'm trying to multitask and build a
Mm-hmm.
lot of different connections with new people all at the same time. And then I get overloaded. And then, like you said, like the anxiety just makes me more anxious and then I avoid and stuff like that. I
Yes.
like that it's very simple and practical where it's like I still feel empowered and I still feel like I can do things, but I also don't feel like I have to do everything all at the same time.
Oh, good. Yes. I'm so glad that that was your takeaway. That's exactly what I was trying to say, that don't overwhelm yourself. There's no reason to traumatize yourself unnecessarily. There's literally no reason. I would say don't go to a munch unless you know at least one person there that can like keep you company, you know? Like have a
Yeah.
buddy if you're going to try new situations like that. Have a buddy. A buddy would be so helpful. So you just need to connect with one person that you feel safe with and then go to that munch or that event or whatever with that one person so that you won't feel the pressure to reach out and connect and try to make friends just to not be awkward. Like if you don't
Hmm.
want to connect with anyone or you're not feeling it or you get in your head, you still have your buddy there. But I think that would be the best strategy for you. That's why you drag your little one to all your social events. See, exactly, Mommy Kaz. Mommy Kaz just proving my point. But does that make sense, little lemon?
Yes, absolutely.
Good.
When I went to my first munch, a lot of people were trying to get me to go to a play party, and I wouldn't go unless I had someone with me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it never occurred to me to do the same thing with munches.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We want to set you up for the most success that we can, and we want you to feel as empowered and safe as you can. And that's the thing. Let that be a test for you. Don't go to
Okay,
an event unless you feel empowered and safe.
okay, I can do that.
Yes, good. So that's the first part, but the second part is we have to do it afraid sometimes. And so what I'm saying is what we're going to do afraid is the small little baby steps, not the big things. A big thing would be like going to the munch. A
Hmm.
small little baby step thing that we're going to do afraid is I'm feeling really anxious today, but and I want to avoid and hide under the covers, but instead I'm going to reach out to one of my friends on Miss L's Discord. That's a little baby step that we can do afraid.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
and enough of those are going to they're going to rebuild your reference to communication, relationships, all of that. And I think once you start feeling consistently safe and consistently empowered, everything's going to shift for you.
Absolutely, I agree.
Awesome. So, did everything I say make sense? Was it practical enough? Do you need any other help around anything? Did I completely blow past anything?
No, that was all very, very helpful, very insightful, and I feel like I have a couple of people in mind, so I have a very practical go-to plan to implement in the near future. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Awesome, my friend. So good. So, do you have anything else, questions, comments, criticisms for me before we move on to our next person tonight?
No, I love this community. I
Hmm.
love the support that you offered me. I really appreciate it, and I can't say thank you to everyone enough. I'm very grateful to be a part of this community. Thank you.
Oh, well, Little Lemon, thank you so much for trusting not just me, but everyone here. I know this is a big deal for you to not just participate in this community, but come on to the group coaching session and unmute your mic and talk, especially to me because I'm so terrifying. So I really appreciate your trust, and I hope you feel the love and the support from all of us.
Absolutely. And that's why this was a small example that I knew, like, this is something I had to do afraid.
Oh, good.
Because I feel safe enough with this community that I feel like I can do it afraid. So,
okay, so you're welcome. So this is something that we did afraid, and how are we feeling on the other side of it?
I'm feeling very calm and very connected to everyone. I feel very heard and understood and very good about that. I feel positive too.
Oh, yeah, that's so good. Okay, everyone, we did our job. High fives all around. Well done, everyone. We didn't scare little Lemon away. Yes. All right, little Lemon. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Give little Lemon some loves and some hugs and some round of applauses. Little Lemon, we love you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Oh my goodness, absolutely the most terrifying person in the world. Whatever, John. Whatever. All right. So we are at 7:30. I think we got time for one more. Little Lemon. Oh, no, it's Mommy Cass. No, we don't have time for one more. I'm joking, Mommy Cass. I love you so much. So it was a joke. Gosh. So, Mommy Cass, what's up, girl? How you doing?
1 second. Yep, just unplug it and plug it. Yep. That's
Hello?
Hello.
It works.
Thank you, Mathos.
You're breathing in the mic. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, hello.
Good evening.
I had said all these things and then my thing wasn't lighting up and I was like, "Oh, you can't hear me."
That's okay. We can start over if you'd like.
That's okay. So, last time we talked, we had talked about mute your mic. I can hear myself. Thank you. So, last time we talked,
did anyone doubt the power dynamic between the two of them? Anyone?
Catch the rest of this conversation in the next episode.